Hi everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Rajendra. I first of all, I welcome you all for this special webinar session today on Master Data Management for Intelligent Enterprise. Thank you very much for taking out your time and joining this session today. So I'm Rajendra. I'm part of StackRoute, and I head strategic accounts with StackRoute. And I've been working very closely with a lot of organizations. And other than heading strategic accounts, I also lead consulting and analytics as a practice from a business side for StackRoute. Now, so before we begin the webinar and I let the eminent speakers today on India and Ritesh take over, let me take a few minutes to quickly give you a brief about StackRoute and some of the thought leadership initiatives that we have undertaken. So, StackRoute is an NIT venture. Many people get confused and say, what is StackRoute and how is it different from NIT and all. So StackRoute is very much a part of NIT. It's an NIT venture. It started in 2015 as a product engineering startup. And today we provide custom learning solutions which are designed to build business aligned talent capabilities. Our solutions and programs are, as well as our learning designs, are very much tailored to meet the specific learning needs of organizations. And when I say organizations, we work very closely with organizations across GSIs, GCCs, analytics companies, consulting companies, digital adopters, among others. And each of these, I would request if everybody can be on mute, while the speakers are speaking. It will be really helpful. It will not disturb others.
Rajendra,
you're on mute, Rajendra.
You're on mute.
Yeah. Did I went on mute just now or?
Yeah. But on mute.
Okay, I'm really sorry. Somehow I don't know how did the mute button got pressed. Nevertheless, so what I was just saying is, we work extensively with organizations across GSIs, GCCs, consulting companies, professional services, which are also called as professional services organizations, among others, and also with digital adopters to some extent. So in each of these organizations, we cater to tech professionals across all levels and and all stages of their career. And what we do with them is, if I go to my next slide. So what we do with these organizations, we engage, and as I said, we cater to the tech professionals from learning interventions point of view across the entire spectrum of the life cycle of an employee. So we have programs at the base level, which are for fresh hires, which we call as boot camp. These are for campus hires. We cover all the technology tracks over here. As we gradually move up, we have programs which we title as deep skilling programs. These are for existing employees like software engineers, data engineers, platform engineers, and others. Here we cover an entire range of programs, including the latest technologies like GenAI, cloud, data science, cybersecurity, among others. As you move up, we run something called as transformative programs, and these are for employees at mid to senior level. At the boot camp, the focus is more on skilling. At the bootcamp and deep skilling level, the focus is more on skilling. How do you become more, how your skills are polished and you become better in each of the areas that you're working. Whereas in transformative programs, it is all about building transformative competencies. Here the focus is on, creating how can you create values, how can you reconcile dilemmas, how can you take responsibilities. Now, depending on the role that you take, it will help. These are programs which help individuals to advance up on the technical leadership level. Now, some of our flagship programs at the transformative stage are the entire range of architect competency development programs that we run. There are also product management program, delivery excellence program, which cover program for like project manager, for project managers, program managers, project directors, program directors, and all. We also run tech leadership initiatives, and there are also high-end programs around cybersecurity. So all of this kind of programs are covered. And when I'm talking about the architect program, we also run a data architect program, which is run extensively focused for professionals on data. And today, the master data management, the webinar that is today's webinar, if you see, there are organizations where we are already working extensively on this space, Cognizant being one of them. We are also working with EY, Tredence, Tiger Analytics, where we are working very closely with the leadership there to build data architecture talent pipeline within the organizations. So, just moving ahead beyond our capabilities that I talked about, we take a lot of pride in the quality that we bring in our programs. Each of the programs that we design are very, very tailored and centered around solving business problems. And some of this, a testimony to the quality that we bring to the table, the Brandon Hall Awards that we have been winning year after year. For the last 4 years, we have won close to 50 awards, Brandon Hall Awards. This is a testimony, of the quality work that we have been delivering for our client partners. Last year, we won 15 of these awards. You can have a look at the slide, for transformative programs, especially for architecture competency. We won close to 6 awards last year. And likewise for other deep skilling, data science and engineering excellence also, we have been winning awards. So moving ahead, we, as I was mentioning, we have been extensively delivering the architect competency development program. Now, with the experience of having delivered, multiple programs for architects and working closely with our extensive client network, we wanted to further strengthen the architect community. So to do this, we launched something called as a digital architect conclave in the year 2023. Now, the last 3 years, this has become one of our flagship event that we run in that we do in the month of July. We year on year, we have been drawing more than 120 delegates from more than 40 organizations. This year, in fact, to be precise, we had about 136 professionals coming in from. Yeah. So we had 136 professionals coming in from more than 40 organizations. Now, the audience that have been coming over here included CXOs, technical VPs, directors, the entire range of people. Now, what we have done through this is, we are trying to build a community wherein people can come, interact, share their ideas, knowledge, and all of that. Now, one of the feedback that was given by this community was, you do a conclave for a day. What after that? They wanted us to keep this community engaged for a longer duration throughout the year and all. And to keep that momentum going, we started this webinar series called the Stay Ahead with StackRoute webinar series. And today's webinar is a part of that. Now, this is one of the thought leadership initiative, and these are specially designed to equip architects with the tools and strategies needed to thrive in today's rapidly evolving industry. Now, without much of an ado, let me quickly introduce you to our speakers today. We have Anindya Maiti, and then we also have Ritesh. Just giving a quick introduction before I hand it over to Anindya. Anindya is a senior director and head of MDM practice India at Cognizant. He is leading the data management initiative with more than 20 years of experience in IT consulting and global delivery, specializing in master data management, data quality, data governance, data privacy, and data architecture. He is recognized as a data management evangelist who has shaped strategies across numerous engagement. Anindya also he also serves on multiple product advisory councils and shares his expertise as a speaker in many industry forums. So welcome, Anindya. And we also have Ritesh over here. Ritesh is a senior mentor at StackRoute. He comes with more than 15 years of cross industry experience in telecom, banking, and finance, healthcare, life sciences. He specializes in designing databases and data architectures, including data vaults, data mesh, data lakes, and warehouses that convert complex business data into actionable insights for large enterprise. Ritesh has developed data migration frameworks and ETL pipelines and holds multiple certifications like the PMP, AWS, Azure, Salesforce, and Snowflakes. So with that quick introduction of Anindya and Ritesh, now I hand it over to both of them, and I wish you all a very a happy learning in the next couple of hours. If you have any questions, if you have any queries, you can always put it on the chat box, and Anindya and Ritesh will be happy to take it. Over to you, Anindya.
Sure, Rajendra, and thank you for a generous introduction, I would say. Let me start first. Let me share my screen, and you just give a thumbs up, see if you can see my screen which I've shared.
Yes, Anindya, we can
Yes,
see.
we can, Anindya.
Sure, I'll go full screen. So probably the way we have designed into the session, I would try to keep it within 30 minutes, and then you obviously would keep a check on me, because if it is MDM, probably I'll spend the entire day talking about MDM. So try to restrict me within the 30 minutes. Well, 30 minutes, I would like to cover why MDM is important, how it is evolving, how the next gen MDM looks like, what we call it as an intelligent MDM for intelligent enterprise. That's our today's topic also. I would touch upon some of the leading MDM vendors, tool vendors with whom we have partnership. I've been talking to their CXOs. So we'll try to touch upon what are they doing, what is the investment towards this intelligent MDM, the next gen MDM architecture. And we cannot conclude anything without talking about agents in today's world. So we'll touch upon quickly on some of our investment, cognizant investment around agentic AI solutions around MDM processes. So, and then I'll hand it over to Ritesh, who would cover more about what are the various business use cases, industry-specific use cases, what are the best practices on implementing MDM. We'll try to cover in the next 30 minutes post my session. That's how we have designed. So very quickly, I have seen many of you are also part of Cognizant data analytics practice. What you see in the left-hand side is our Cognizant data analytics. I'll just do a little bit of introduction about our data analytics and our MDM capabilities before you get into all the other details. This has been we are one of the leaders in the data analytics space, which is has been recognized by most of the analysts as the top within the top leadership quadrant. And but if I look into very specific to today's topic, if I relate with that, if you look into my data management box, that sort of MDM capability falls under. I manage this data management sub practices within Cognizant globally, and one of our important capability is master data management. This has been one of our oldest capabilities, and within Cognizant, we incubate it as a dedicated sub-practice for more than 25 years. It's a long journey, right? If you see that, we have seen the evolution of MDM solutions over the more than 2 decades. Sorry if others can go on mute. I can hear some. Can you hear me now? Okay. Yeah, what you've seen is that it has evolved over the more than 2 decades, and today we have, if I look into this, we have done more than 1,200 implementations. We have many of these are very large global MDM rollouts, and if you look into that, some of these are multi-country, means has been deployed in multiple regions, multiple geographic. It has been deployed for multiple business functions of our large enterprises. And supporting multiple business use cases. And what is the takeaway from this is that what I want to share here, that MDM is here almost for more than 2 decades. It is a matured offering within the industry. Enterprises, large enterprises, they have seen return on investment. That's why we have been able to implement more than 1,200 MDM programs across the globe. And most of these MDM programs are yielding results, yielding return on investment for enterprises. And in today's world, where enterprises are pivoting towards agentification of business processes, they are going beyond their digital, enterprise ecosystem, and it is now becoming agentified enterprise ecosystem. MDM is becoming more and more important for their so far the strategy is concerned. I'll move to a next slide. Why MDM is important? If I talk about, I think many of you, those who have joined, are all coming with the same data background, and some of the things you know already, which is it's a golden records, ensure that it brings uniformity across the enterprises. It removes the siloed. I think these are all known fact. It acts as a truth layer, what you call it. It makes your enterprise, ready for your, agentifications. It makes your enterprise ready for your AI analytics journey. It adds context to the your master entities today, right? And it supports your cross-domain lineage, building the relationship across the domain, unlock the business value by doing so, and also supports various regulatory requirement by doing so. So unless you know that where it lies, what is the lineage of this data, you'll not be able to support some of the regulatory requirements and drives the regulatory requirements. What we call it is that MDM today is not only, it's actually the enterprise's confidence layer. That's what we think. We think that it is a foundation that makes operations efficient. It makes your decision reliable. And it makes your innovation also sustainable. And whatever we've seen in the last 2 decades, it has changed a lot in the last uh, 24 months, I would say, right? And you all are talking about AI-led innovations, AI-led transformations. You are all talking about Gen AI, and now all are pivoting towards agentifications. And that's where uh, enterprises have realized that more and more they're realizing that they cannot do without an MDM in place, right? An enterprise-grade MDM in place, which obviously would support their all the strategic visions. It creates a trusted data foundations, and it's actually drive your AI innovations. It helps your operational efficiencies. Essentially, if you look into eliminates your cost, it brings your cost down. You need to have your processes, enterprise processes runs around your MDM ecosystems. This is future ready because today's MDMs are all cloud native. It's scalable. Today enterprise, if you go back and look into the 10 years back, the data that it used to enterprises to generate, and today, the digital enterprise, the data that it generates is many times, right? And that's where you need a scalable MDM solutions, which supports your entire enterprise ecosystem. And it also is a differentiating factor for the enterprise. A classic example is that an enterprise which runs on customer MDM, customer 360, it actually runs your customer experience much better. And that shows that that's your differentiating factor, right, as an enterprise. Those were uh, data architects. One thing you also need to understand that MDM sits between your all the enterprise applications, which runs your business processes like your order to cash, procure to pay, your sales operations, your MarTech stack, right? Your HR operations, and the enterprise business processes on one side runs on your enterprise MDM ecosystems. On the other side, also your the data platform, your the and AI analytics, your agents also heavily depends on the data products that gets generated from MDM. So that's where today's environment, it relies in between on both sides of the world and becomes more important for enterprise to look into it with, I would say that more holistically. I move into next slide, just to talk about, I mean, that's what we have seen, right? I've been talking to analysts, Gartner Forsters of the world. We have been talking to all the product vendors. We have seen the product vendors has also evolved. The enterprise has evolved. We have been talking to our customers also. That's how MDM has evolved. MDM landscape has evolved, right, over the years. When we started in early 2000, it was a very basic data consolidation. It started with CRM implementation. That's when the first CRM application started getting implemented. And they need to have a customer information management or CDI to support the CRM. Those kind of very pointed solution that MDM started supporting. That's how it started, which call it basic data consolidation. Next decade was it evolved beyond that. So it was on-prem MDM, but MDM products, more matured product came into the market. They would have governance. On top of that, it provides a data governance capability. It is to provide more robust matching capabilities, and it started supporting more business functions. So MDM as a single source is actually evolved over the decades, and most of the large enterprises, they started embarking on that journey. That decade was also about uh, getting ROI from MDM solutions, and all the enterprise started realizing the value, be it cost optimizations, supporting your regulatory requirements, or driving your revenue uplift. Right, that's what started happening. While if I move into 2018 onwards, that's where I call it that MDM started becoming more like an SaaS, cloud native SaaS solutions. That's where the scalability started coming into picture. There were product vendors like Reltio or some other vendors which actually born as a SaaS native, while those other enterprise MDM product vendors like Informatica, IBM, SAP, Oracle of the world, they started evolving as a cloud native MDM SaaS solution. Supporting multi-domain MDM, more complex workflows, self-service capabilities. It's a real-time integrations, obviously scalable in architecture. And we are still, and obviously there are enterprises who are running on legacy MDM, which is still on-prem, giving them and supporting their multiple enterprise applications. They are migrating towards SaaS. That journey continues. While that cloud native MDM is getting more and more matured, the MDM product vendors, they pivoted what you call it towards intelligent MDM. So there's a cloud native SaaS. On top of that, every MDM product vendors, they started adding, and they need to add, obviously. Some of them are at a different level of maturity. They need to start adding additional capabilities, which is your obviously ML based, bringing AI ML into the entire ecosystem more and more, embed into their entire MDM process. For example, ML based matching algorithm, ML based augmented data quality, automatic data quality remediations, using GraphDB to bring complex relationships and unlock the value by joining multiple entities and so on and so forth. And many of these MDM vendors are now, they have started implementing agents on top of that. So we'll talk about how MDM products are get aligned with that intelligent architecture. But after this MDM is pivoting towards making it more agentified, both from AI for agent, if I talk about that way, or MDM for AI. In both sides, means making the MDM implementation faster by bringing agents and AI to automate some of the processes, while making MDM ready to be consumed by agents and AI. So that's what I call it, intelligent MDM. I'll spend quickly a few minutes on the intelligent MDM. We'll do a little bit of deep dive into this. Essentially, intelligent MDM is no longer a traditional golden record 360-degree view of the profile. It's much beyond that. It is context sensitive, it is contextualized, it is helping decisioning, they're bringing analytical capabilities around that. It supports various business processes. And I hope I'm within the time. So this is how we call it intelligent MDM architecture, right? And that's our view. In today's world, this is how the intelligent MDM would look like, and it would evolve. So if you look into that, there are what we see, there are 4 blocks, right? So one is intelligence in the architecture. We'll talk about that. Next thing is the democratization of the data. So this MDM would actually being your heart of how do you democratize the data, how do you create the data product, how do you interact through the data marketplace and make the data available across the enterprise. on obviously secured and way. And then bringing the agility into the business delivery, because in today's world, no one would like to see a 2 years long implementation cycle. It has to be shorter cycle. It has to be agile. And that's why we call it MDM ops for automation in MDM processes. And finally, the agentifications in MDM solutions. So if you look into the intelligence MDM architecture, there are various building blocks. And this is on top of your foundational capability, the traditional match, merge, auditing, governance, and everything is assuming this is done, right? This is the additional capability that every MDM solution is to bring in, which includes obviously the cloud native, bringing AI/ML capabilities, so it's scalable. You have real-time unifications, classification, and so on and so forth. It's very complex, right? Because MDM runs multiple complex processes on how do you match, how do you merge, how do you consolidate. So it's not about only real-time exchanging of the data, but real-time processing of the data. So intelligence MDM architecture supports that, needs to support it. It would have ML embedded everywhere, be it on ML-driven match tool fine-tuning, which is used to do it differently in the traditional world. Augmented DQ rule, as I said, bringing graph database for various complex relationship, building the complex relationship around multiple entities, and so on and so forth. What you see is the bottom part of it. Now the MDM product is to enable that agentification, right, on top of MDM ecosystem. Because MDM, as you all know, I think it's nothing new. It's a combination of process, platform, and people, right? It's a people, process, and platform. It's not only the platform. And if you look into the first part, I mean, once you implement MDM platform, you need to define a process and run the process with the help of people. And that's the layer where you have an opportunity to optimize using agents. And that's where the agents are now coming into picture pretty first. So some of them are data cleansing profiling agent, data enrichment agent, data steward agent, which would do what a typical data steward will do on top of MDM platforms. Chat with data, it's like you play with the 360-degree view data through an agents, and then the copilots, essentially helping on implementing some of the pipelines, some of the DQ rules, and so on and so forth. From the democratization perspective, the capabilities obviously is the integrating with the data marketplace, help building the data products, and support the active governance, right, which help you to democratize across the large enterprises. What you have seen also that some of the this MDM platform, they are now enabling this, what you call it, agents in action. So the pipeline orchestrations are now getting auto-generated. The self-filling capabilities are now available. And then they have started supporting, you all know that today MCP server and agent-to-agent protocols, which is needed for your application to be embedded into your multi-agent ecosystem. That's what it also started supporting. So that's in a nutshell is your intelligent MDM solution, which an intelligent enterprise would need. And that's how it is pivoting today. To recap, intelligence in architecture, democratization of the data, agents in action is actually essentially the capabilities that they're bringing, and then agility in the business delivery through the MDM ops kind of automation framework. What I'll do is that it's a busy slide. The next slide. This is
Can I
probably.
just ask a question, or should I hold it for the end?
I think you can probably.
You can put it in the chat or hold it for the end, Rajat. That will be really great.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah. And let me cover that, and then probably we can go to that Q&A section. So I think the StackRoute will publish some of the slides, and there are links. This is probably for you. It's a reading material for the weekends. But what I want to highlight here is that we spoke about intelligent MDM, and as we are speaking with all the product vendors and being part of their advisory councils, we know that one thing I can tell you that the leadership are pivoting towards making everything which we talk about as part of intelligence MDM. It is their roadmap. Some of them already have released, launched, and it would get matured as we move forward. Classic examples are all, the Informatica MDM is already now cloud native. It's on SaaS. They have a clear engine. It has Clear started with AI capabilities. It has a co-pilot now, and it has agents as well. Right? They launched Clear agents. You can go through that link, find out more about that. Reltio is one of the cloud native MDM. They started with what they call it RIA for their more like a conversational assistant. Then they have launched Agent Flow. I mean, the name shows that this is about building agentic AI capabilities on top of Reltio. Same for Stivo is a very popular, was in the product domain, and then they are now becoming a multi-domain MDM. They do also have a similar capabilities, right? Your AI powered, data matching capabilities, content creation capabilities, attribute mapping capabilities, so on and so forth. IBM has IBM Watson X getting embedded with their InfoSphere MDM. SAP MDG, that's the MDM capabilities. They are also have invested heavily on AI-driven master data governance capabilities. They do have Joule. We are getting integrated with this MDG capabilities as well. Syndigo is now becoming very powerful into the product areas. They have Accord Riversand. They have Accord OneWorld Sync. They do have also, they call it Go Pilots, which is their, again, the same towards your intelligent MDM architecture. Semarchy Prophecy, they are the challengers, I will say. They also have invested on ML-based stewardship and so on and so forth. So what I want to say that the trend are same. Product vendors are also investing, and enterprises, if they're those who are now going to implement, already they've implemented either of these solutions. All the large enterprises, they do have MDM in the ecosystem. They are expanding the MDM ecosystem. They are probably migrating into their cloud native modern architecture, and they would be able to leverage some of those capabilities in the future. Last few minutes from my side, as we are talking about platform-based implementations, obviously there are certain enterprises for their specific business functions and specific business use cases. They may look for some custom MDM solutions on top of your hyperscalers, and like AWS, Azure, GCP, and so on and so forth. So Cognizant has a framework, we call it Cognizant Data Unification Framework. It has been launched on AWS and Azure. It supports a lot of this, it built on the modern architecture and already started supporting some of the agentification use cases. You can go and find that link as well. So once the slide is shared and once you get access to the link, you can go through it and look into it, what the others are doing and what is available in the market. I'll wrap up my session. I mean, you cannot, today's world, you cannot wrap up your session without talking about agents on the lighter notes. Obviously, as I said, right, MDM will be successful once you have governance in place and once you run processes around this, like a data stewardship process, merchandising ops process for product data, and obviously these are people-centric processes, right? So that means there's a human effort involved, and these are the candidates for automations. We at Cognizant, we have launched 2 agents around MDM. It's a food for thought for all of you. And then one, you call it Cognizant Agentic Stewardship. That was for the customers, mostly in the customer domain. For the product side, we have launched merchandising operations agents. The customer stewards, typically, if you look into it, a day in a life for a data steward, what they do, right? Once you implement MDM, there will be data which will be automatically matched, merged based on certain business rules, but there will be customers which would be on the queues, and a typical data steward team would go do investigation, do the queue resolutions. They look into the critical data elements. They would validate, enrich the critical data elements. They would validate against third party like DNB and so on and so forth. So those activities, a data steward agent would perform and help data steward to scale the productivity. That's how the data steward agent does. The product agent, typically the merchandising ops agents, if you look into the product world, again, typically a merchandising operators, a group of people who typically keep on enriching the product attributes, looking into the PDF artwork. They keep on classifying the product against the right categories. These are if it requires certain efforts, and then some of them like translates the content, tag your search criteria and so on and so forth. So these are effort centric activities, and merchandising operations helps to automate these processes. These are multi-agents, runs on various standard LLMs today. With that, I would wrap up my sessions, and I'll hand it over to Ritesh. And I know there can be certain questions, so Dennis, if you can probably help for during the Q&A sessions. So that if you can anchor and we can answer those.
Sure, I'll do that.
I'll stop sharing. Ritesh, do you want to take over?
Yeah, I'll start. Yeah.
Sure.
Let me know once you're able to see my screen.
We can see it with this. Yeah.
Yes, Ritesh.
Yeah. So as Anindya covered a lot of good content around MDM, right? So now we are going more at a ground level. Okay. So we are going to explore why the master data sits at the core of every digital transformation initiative, right? And why organizations that fail to manage the foundational data and they end up struggling with AI analytics if they don't implement a proper MDM solution, right? So that is where, because we have to kind of take care of the customer experience, we have to also take care of the regulatory compliance in case of a banking project. So I'll walk you through the challenges the organizations face today and the impact of outdated MDM practices. Okay. And what does a modern MDM really look like? And and how innovative the enterprises are using MDM as a strategic capability. Okay, not just a technology implementation. So by the end of the coverage, what I'm going to cover, you as participants will have a 360 degree view of how the MDM supports AI. Okay, what are the business decisions, automation, and high quality customer engagement, which can be done if a proper MDM is in place. Okay, so before moving on to that, first of all, we should understand what are the challenges today of managing the master data. Okay, so in this slide, you could see data silos, you could see data quality issues, you could see compliance risk, you could see a lot of other challenges, right? So one of the biggest realities organizations face today is that the data is exploding. Okay, so we are living in the age of AI, we are living in the age of a lot of volume of data, right? So the problem is the organizations are facing data explode, okay, across systems, channels, business units, partners, okay, and a lot of customer touch points. However, this data is fragmented and kind of duplicated across, say, for example, you have a CRM system, you have an ERP system, you have a core banking platform. Okay. So a lot of times the data is fragmented and duplicated. Okay. So I'll give you a simple example. If you today walk into a Reliance store, okay, and then Reliance Digital is one outlet, then you go to Reliance Trends, okay, and then if you have a JioMart subscription, okay, someone is saying your screen is not visible for me. Is it for everyone or is it just for one participant?
I think it's only for one, Ritesh. We can see the screen.
Sure. Yeah. So the example which I was giving you was if you have a JioStar subscription, okay, or for example, you have a JioMart subscription. So although you are a Jio customer, but your data is fragmented. Okay. So it's not like if you have a JioMart subscription, you can go to a JioStar and watch a subscription. Okay. So similarly, if you have, say, a Jio Digital login, right? So that would be different from what you get when you walk into a Jio store. Okay. So the data is fragmented. Your mobile number might be similar, but your name might be differently used, right? So that is one of the major challenges today. So suppose tomorrow, if they want, as a Jio customer, if they want to consolidate every information what they have, right? They can have one single record in their systems, which is a master record, okay, based on the mobile number. So your one name will only be visible to the entire platform. Okay, so that is what we have to ensure. So some of the typical challenges include like incomplete data, inconsistent definitions, like duplicate customer, okay, and lack of ownership, right? So these issues which you are seeing on the screen, they kind of create friction across operations. Okay. For example, marketing might see a customer differently from how an operations team might see them. Okay. So before we even talk about AI or advanced analytics, we need to address the foundational problem. Master data is not aligned, or sometimes it is not governed, or sometimes it is not trustworthy across the enterprise, right? So this is the major challenge what we see today in managing the master data. Okay, so I'm going step by step so that first of all you focus on the challenge and you should know how do we actually implement a proper solution. Okay, so what are the challenges caused by legacy MDM? Okay, so if you ask me, in the world of AI, we are dealing with a lot of data, right? But before that also we are having a lot of MDM already implemented somewhere, right? It could be a legacy MDM solution. So many organizations today, they do have some form of MDM, whether it is right or wrong, but they say we have an MDM solution. Okay, but it actually is legacy, rigid, and it is built for yesterday's world, not for today's world. Okay, because we need to visualize the solution in that way. Tomorrow we should have a proper accommodation for that solution in terms of the data volume or the velocity, right? So that's where the old MDM solutions, they are quite rigid and they are not built for today's world. Rather, they are built for yesterday's world. So the legacy MDM systems often they rely on outdated batch process. Okay, they kind of have fixed kind of data models. Fixed when I say like a relational database, for example, right? So it could be a very rigid schema. Nowadays, we are dealing with JSON or we are dealing with knowledge graphs. We are dealing with graph databases, right? So the legacy solutions are quite fixed in their approach and they have limited integration capabilities, right? So they also lack the agility required to support new domains like digital products, third party data, or maybe even behavioral insights, right? So most of the legacy MDM tools don't support real-time processing. Okay. And they don't even assist the AI assisted matching, right? So the result is very slow onboarding, poor data quality, difficulty in scaling. Okay. And then we also face inability to support the new business models. Okay. So this is why modernizing the MDM is no longer optional. Okay. It's very essential for any enterprise that wants to stay competitive in the age of AI and also in the age of a lot of data volume or data velocity, right? So that's where we need to evolve. Okay. Now, what is the business impact of the poor MDM? Okay. So we are going step by step. First, we are seeing the challenges of poor MDM or maybe no MDM solution, and then we'll shift our focus from left to right, where we'll also talk about the solution. Okay. So when the master data is inconsistent or duplicated, okay, the business consequences are real and measurable. As I give you the example of Geo customer, right? So it data is inconsistent. Suppose there's a mobile number which is same across three platforms, okay, but the name is, for example, in some place my name is mentioned as Ritesh K. In one of the Geo stores, when I walked in, they asked me my name and I said Ritesh Kumar. Okay, so they spelled my name incorrectly, for example. When I went to a Geo digital store or Reliance digital store, they asked my mobile number. Mobile number is correct, but the name, they did not even mention my surname. Okay, so they just mentioned Ritesh. So this is where you see, right? The data across, if you want to kind of make it uniform, right? We should have one single perspective. Okay, so that perspective is one common data set across the system, which is your, we call it as a primary key, for example. Right? So mobile number could be a primary key, but the name is different across the systems, right? So the data is kind of inconsistent. So the business consequences are real and measurable, right? So the poor MDM leads to broken customer experience. Okay. For example, a customer gets different information from the website and he gets a different information from the call center. Okay. There's also financial impact. Okay. If the data is not correct, incorrect reporting can be there, slow onboarding can be there, poor credit decisioning can be there. Okay. And because of all this issues, we could also result in a lot of fraud or false positives. Okay. So increased fraud can happen or AML false positives can also happen. Okay. So the teams waste enormous time manually reconciling data from different systems. So you could have seen in your projects or in your day-to-day life, people end up correcting the data in Excel sheets. Okay. and they are kind of manually reconciling the data from different systems. Okay. So for regulatory industries like banking, poor MDM will directly impact the compliance. Okay. It would lead to the audit failures and it would lead to a lot of hectic fines. Okay. So ultimately, the biggest impact is that organizations cannot confidently use their data to make decisions, because I gave you a simple example, right? The name, which name is correct? We don't know, right? Whether Ritesh K is correct, Ritesh Kumar is correct, or Ritesh is correct. So this would slow down the digital transformation. I'm just giving a simple example, okay? But if you talk about the holistic view, you know, right? If my address is wrong in my banking application, okay, so in the app I updated, but it not reflect in the website. Tomorrow they are sending me a credit card, it goes to a different address, okay, because the address is not correct, or we don't have a proper single source of truth. Okay. So when an organization actually invests in building a trusted unified data foundation through MDM, several benefits emerge very quickly. Okay. First is the ability to consistently identify customers, products, okay, suppliers. So as we talk about, say, customer 360-degree view, right? So in one single place, if I want to say, for example, tomorrow Reliance or Jio, they kind of want to implement MDM solution and they want to give a 360-degree view of a customer. So in one single place, once I enter a mobile number, based on that mobile number, they can figure it out how many subscriptions I have. Am I a customer of Reliance Trends? Am I a customer of Geo? Like I do have a Geo SIM. Okay. Do I also have a GeoMart subscription? Okay. Do I also have a Reliance Digital subscription or something like that? Okay. So one single place, based on my mobile number, they can figure out the 360-degree view of mine. Okay. So based on that, they can do some mergers or something like that. So the point which I'm trying to make here is we should have the ability to consistently identify the customers, the products. Okay. And second is improved operational efficiency. So teams don't spend hours cleaning or reconciling data, because now we have a 360-degree view of the customer, right? And since we have that, it would enhance the decision making. Okay. And it would also kind of make it more accurate and consistent, right? So finally, it would strengthen the governance, it would strengthen the compliance, okay, and it will also ensure a proper auditability happens. Okay. So a trusted kind of a data foundation is kind of a backbone that supports the automation. Okay. It would support the customer insights and it will also support the enterprise intelligence. Okay. So now let's look deeper at the core benefits now. Okay. And then I'll also show you the implementation part. Okay. So with MDM, organizations achieve a single accurate duplicate free record for each customer, product, or asset. Okay. So that is often called the golden record. Okay. And then MDM also enables faster onboarding of customers. Okay. It would also ensure we have faster onboarding of vendors, products, employees. Okay. Because the system can validate and match the incoming data automatically. Okay. So with a governed and enriched and unified master data, the data quality improves, okay, dramatically. And the operational systems receive consistent master data, which reduces all the errors in the rework. Okay. And as an added advantage, just to tell you guys, MDM enables the business to respond faster to the regulatory requirements. So for example, there's a bank, right? And the SEBI is asking, or maybe RBI is asking some report from the bank. Okay. So if we have proper master data management solution, it would enable the business to respond faster to all the regulatory requirements, because we have a proper lineage, we have a proper auditability, and this is why the MDM is foundational, okay, not just a technical project. So in that sense, this is the roadmap. Okay, a successful modern MDM journey requires a structured, phased roadmap. Okay, so we start with understanding the business priorities. What problem are we solving? Whether it is customer onboarding, whether it is regulatory reporting, whether it is product consolidation. Okay. So we need to first identify the problem. Okay. And then the next step is defining the data domains, governance model, and stewardship roles. Okay. Then we move on to designing a flexible, scalable architecture, data model, and then integrating it with the operation systems via APIs. Okay, so a modern MDM roadmap also includes automating the data quality rules, enrichment, okay, and AI-based matching. Okay, so finally we implement, based on all this, we implement continuous monitoring and KPIs to track the improvements. Okay, so MDM is not just a one-time project. Okay, it's a capability that evolves with the business. Okay, so these are all the steps involved. Okay, we can also do a pilot domain testing with a sample data set, and then once it is through, then we can implement it at a large scale. Okay, so talking about, when we talk about a technology in a modern MDM program, right, it's very important to understand that MDM is not just one tool. Okay, so modern MDM architecture includes data integration, it includes governance workflows, it includes stewardship interfaces, APIs, data quality engines. Okay, then you have machine learning matches. Okay, so different tools specialize in different aspects. Some are strong in real time API driven MDM, other are strong in governance and workflow. Okay, some could be good in, say, multi domain modeling. Okay, so this technology mapping, what you're seeing on the screen, helps ensure that any organization invests in the right combination of capabilities rather than assuming a single tool will magically fix everything. Okay, so this mapping is where we have AWS, Azure, GCP, right? So if I want to do a customized MDM solution, right? So these are the various technology mappings which you see on the screen. So this helps to future proof the architecture for cloud, AI, and data product initiatives, right? So if you see here, we have AWS. If I want to implement some MDM solution, right? So I could use various services from AWS called, say, Glue, RDS, DynamoDB. These are the sample services which could be used to come up with a solution. Okay. Similarly, you could see for Azure, we have Purview, Synapse, Data Factory, Cosmos DB, right? So once we kind of consolidate every such service, we would be in a position to come up with a proper solution, right? Now, a lot of theory we talked about. Okay, so unless and until I tell you a proper place where this has actually happened, okay, unless and until I speak about a real world case study, okay, my perspective will not match with your expectations, right? So this is the, and this has been implemented in real time. Okay, it has been implemented in a real world project where there was a global bank and they had very slow KYC service. Okay, a global bank was facing extremely slow know your customer process due to fragmented customer data. Okay, across uh, different places, like CRM had a different view of a customer, then credit system has a different view, legacy banking platform has a different view. Because of all this incomplete data, duplicate data, and there were inconsistent identifiers. Okay, so onboarding a new customer took up to 3 days actually. Okay, that was the major challenge. So now, if you ask me, in the age of all the proper AI tools we have in the market, right, and then we have all the data, okay, and we all have storage which is very cheap in as compared to what we used to happen in the olden days, right? So do you think 3 days is a good amount of time or a fair amount of time for onboarding a new customer? No, right? You could see, if you want to open a bank account today, you could just click a uh, link in the app and you get onboarded, right, in a space of, say, 1 hour. Okay, so they had this issue of onboarding a new customer which took up to 3 days. And then why and how they implemented? Because by implementing the modern MDM with the AI driven initiatives, the bank unified all customer records into a trusted 360-degree view. Okay, and what it did was, this dramatically accelerated the KYC, and it also reduced manual checks. Okay, and also improved the compliance readiness. Okay, so the outcomes were quite impressive. Okay, the onboarding time, and this is a real world example. Okay, so onboarding time reduced from 3 days to just 20 minutes. So this is the impact of MDM. They achieved 92% reduction in the duplicates. Okay, and then AML false positives dropped by 35%. Okay, so improving the fraud detection accuracy. Okay, so for example, if you implement a proper MDM solution, right, you could also contribute in a better way in terms of fraud detection. Okay. So the bank also improved its auditability. Okay. It also strengthened a lot of regulatory compliance. So what does it show? This shows that how directly MDM impacts both customer experience and risk operations. Okay. So that is one part of the story. Now, moving on to another real world case study, which has been actually implemented in the last 1 year. Okay. So in this case study, a global retailer was struggling with rapid SKU expansion across regions, suppliers, and marketplaces. Okay. Product descriptions, attributes, measurements, and classifications, right? So, for example, consider it as a, say, Amazon, for example. Okay. So, product descriptions, attributes, measurements, and classifications were inconsistent across all the warehouse and online channels. Okay. So, this resulted in what? Listing errors, supply chain delays. Okay. There were a lot of inventory inaccuracies and poor customer experience. Okay. So, now if you ask me, if I go to Amazon website, for example, and if I go to Amazon app, okay, and if I'm seeing some kind of inconsistency in the data, I will have some kind of bad customer experience, right? So this kind of issues would not make the customer experience better, right? It would also have a lot of inaccuracies, right? Because something is showing in the app and some other thing is showing in the website, right? So poor customer experience online. Okay. So this was the major challenge. So by implementing this multi-domain MDM, the retailer consolidated all this information, right? Product, supplier, category data into a unified model, which enabled consistent product hierarchy, improved supply chain, and better experience in terms of omni-channel, right? So the retailer realized major benefits by implementing MDM, which was like higher product data accuracy across all the channels. Okay, so you go to any channel, you will get consistent or accurate product data. And then you could also have faster new product introduction. Okay, so if I want to onboard a new product, it becomes easier because I have a proper MDM solution in place. And then it kind of improved the customer search and also the browsing experience. So this case study highlights how the MDM is not only for customer data, but it can also be equally transformative in that sense. Okay, so that is the major theme here. Now moving on. So there are a lot of tools in the market. Okay, so it's not like we are promoting any tool here. It's all about you should know which are the major tools available in the market. Okay, and then majorly you see Informatica is being used as an MDM, and then you have a lot of other options available here, right? So often organizations believe that uh, Informatica or, for example, Ratio or Stibo, these are the tools. Okay, but if you ask me, this is the entire ecosystem. Okay, so the modern MDM solutions now that differentiate by cloud native capabilities. Okay, they have API first integration. Okay, they have multi-domain kind of flexibility. Okay, and AI powered data quality. Okay, so let's explore some other strong players in the market like Reltio. Okay, Reltio is a cloud native MDM platform. Okay, which is known for real-time processing, graph-based model. Okay, in the graph-based model, we have knowledge graphs, you have your nodes, relationships, properties, labels, and all, right? So that is one thing. And then you have strong API first capabilities in Reltio. Okay, so it's widely used in industries that require speed and scalability. Okay, and then you have Stibo systems on the other hand, which is known for robust kind of multi-domain capabilities, right? And strong governance workflows, especially in the product and the supplier data. Okay, so both the platforms continue to evolve with built-in AI ML capabilities, making them strong alternatives for your what should I say, enterprises seeking agility or whichever are trying to scale up in the cloud or maybe even a domain flexibility, right? So tomorrow when in your projects or maybe in any kind of scenario, you should be in a position to understand how a bad MDM design impacts the customer experience. How do you implement it? Okay, using all the pilot testing, using all the MVPs, and then what are the different tools available in the market, and then what advantage you get when you move from this place where you have a lot of information available, right? So these are Now these are a lot of useful links and references. Okay, so if I want to tell you about whatever solutions or whatever tools we talked about it, so there's a Gartner website which I think you all know. So you can just have a look at these links, which provide additional reading on MDM best practices, market trends, and the future of MDM with AI. Okay, so Gartner Peer Insights offers kind of unbiased feedback on the leading MDM tools. So you can click on these links and read it to understand more on what are the different tools, what are the customer reviews, okay, what is the primary offerings they give you, right? And then you have one more article which is from Deloitte. So Deloitte article, what you see on the second point, right? It explains why the MDM is critical for enterprise AI initiatives, right? And then you have another one for Persistent and ZS, which provide insights into modernizing the MDM and leveraging the Gen AI capabilities. Okay, so I encourage you guys to explore them as part of your learning roadmap in the coming days. Okay, and then thanks for your attention till now. Okay, and then maybe we can open the floor for questions. Okay, feel free to ask about any kind of MDM strategy. Ananda is also there, right? And then implementation, whatever thoughts you have in terms of any tool or governance or maybe AI, right? Or any challenges which you're facing, or maybe you have any thought process, we can open the floor for questions. That's all I had. So we can move on with the questions.
Okay. So Dennis, you may need to probably anchor the Q&A session, and we are here to answer if there's any questions from anyone. I think someone was asking a question while I was presenting.
Yeah,
I do not
please ask your
notice who has
questions
actually
if
asked.
you have any.
Yeah, I can go first. So when you were talking about the agents, right? And there are a few agents that can be leveraged in an MDM solution for data cleansing, for even data stewardship. So traditionally, a traditional MDM solution would have a person who would handle the data stewardship. It's a workflow, right? And it handles cases such as you get conflicting information about the same customer or the same product from two different systems. So, or maybe there's a data quality issue or data incompleteness, and the respective data stewardship, the respective data steward gets this task assigned to his queue, right, as per the workflow. And then he has to take this decision. Either he has to go to the source system and fix the data quality issue, or he has to take a call on which of these two systems has the right information. You know, if it's not a rule-based survivorship logic, all those decisions have to be taken. Now, how much of this can be agentified, and to what extent will we still require human data stewards to handle such issues?
So but it's a good question, Rajat, and I'll take it up, right? First thing is I can see from Cognizant. So I would encourage you to see the demo of data steward agent from Cognizant. It will also give you an idea that how it works. This is now already we are publishing on the public domain as well. Now, what you are saying is correct, right? So, I mean, data steward will do a lot more. I mean, obviously, the approach would be you don't expect from day one an agent to come and automate the entire all the data stewardship processes. Typically, data steward do what they would do is they do data investigations with respect to the third party. They look into the match queue, and then as you rightly said, it would look into some of the data within the MDM hub. It will look into some of the third party to refer back some of the attributes. So I'll take an example of, say, in the life sciences, what you call it HCPs, right? Physicians. And when the physicians data is in the queue, we look into the specialty data, you look into the best addresses, and then you refer back to some of the third party like IQVIA or MedPro to look into what is the best specialist and all these things. Right? Sorry, those who are not speaking, you can go on mute. Yeah. So the way, sorry, if someone if you can go mute, yeah. So the approach would be obviously the agents that has been developed can follow some of those processes which has been defined as part of standard operating procedures. It can go and look into MedPro, it can go and look into NPPS site, look into the specialty data, compare the specialty data, and enrich the specialty data if needed, if that's one of the use case. The second use case can be there are two different records. The difference in probably suppose in the HCP record, the difference is in the license numbers, while the rest of the attributes are same. And data steward in ideal scenario will look into these two data. It will see that the name is same, address is same, licenses are different. But in US context, it is possible, right? Because the license is state specific, and they will say that, oh, okay, the first license number is for the certain state, while the second license number is coming from another state, and it makes sense. It is the same HCPs. Go and merge it. So the agent can do that. Agent can go and look into those NPPS side and come and take an actions. What we suggest that don't run it. Don't try to automate all the processes. Run with the processes which is your workflow driven, SOP driven, right? And then try to automate that process first. And as you move forward, you bring in more and more use cases into that. That's how the approach would be. And as we are speaking, you will see the demo of how the data store will do. A lot of our customers are trying to do it. It has to be pilot followed by full implementations. And that's how it progress, Rajat. I hope that answers your question. And one thing you have to understand that agents are not to replace human. Agents are there to augment the human capabilities. So if the productivity is and if you're measuring the productivity through throughput for data steward, you have to see that whether the collective throughput has increased or not by implementing an agent. Does it make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
I think one of the question I can see that someone has graduated, joined as an employee, experienced on informatic MDM, Power Center, informatic data quality, and now learning Reltio. What are the skills should I aim to get familiar with to keep up in the market? Yeah, my suggestion would be, if you are getting into the MDM world, start getting experience on implementing a project. Already, it seems to me that you have learned Informatica, MDM, and Reltio. That should be a good enough starting point for you to start because you are new, right? That's what it seems to me. And then once you have experience on implementing one or two engagements, then you can start adding more capabilities. That will be my suggestion.
If there are any more questions, I would request the participants to please ask the speakers.
Any more questions, or else we'll formally end the session. You have a good opportunity. You have Ritesh and Anindya here. You can ask, explore more in case if you have something in your mind. Okay, good.
Okay, Yeah, on a lighter note, I think this MDM world is evolving pretty fast.
Yes.
There are a lot of demands, and we like to see. I'm assuming there are a lot of budding architects in this forum, and we'd like to see more and more, architects becomes MDM subject matter experts, so that we can supply the demand that what we have in the market today, because many of the enterprises are going through large transformation program and they need more MDM experts. So I hope it was useful, and yeah, thank you all. But what
Maybe
do you?
one question in terms of like you have a lot of data in the MDM systems. So in terms of managing access control, does MDM provides that kind of facility, or you need a separate uh, like a system for managing the role-based access controls, etc.?
So if I understand your question properly, you're looking into how do you control the access for the master entities like the customer entities within the MDM systems. So there are various ways you get access to the MDM system. Right? One is through MDM user interfaces. Huh? And MDM user interface, like any other enterprise application, it provides your airbag role-based access control. Obviously, it provides your row-based access, row-level access control. It provides your column-level access control. All the capabilities are available in all the standard modern MDM tools. I mean, that's the only one. It's not the only one where you access the data. You access the data through your through multiple channels, right? Through the API calls, through the app-to-app connectors, or through your pub sub events, or through batch processes, right? Batch publishers, and at each level you can apply those access control. You can govern and provide access control, and that's the crux of the solution. It has to be, because if you look into a classic example, some of the example this was giving, if it is customer, you would probably expect some of your users, it might be business users, or it might be your even data scientists, to access some of the attributes. Might be your name, not the addresses, but probably it's a high I'll say that high value customers for a bank, and so on and so forth. But you would not expect them to access the bank account numbers and all these things. So it's a very basic requirement. It has to be there.
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello,
If there are
hello,
no,
hello, hello.
yes,
Just one
please go
question.
ahead.
Uh,
Okay, go ahead,
uh,
please.
yeah, currently I'm working like on a SaaS data flux. So that is also like a part of MDM. So we have written multiple jobs over there. So I've worked on that. So just wanted to know, like, since 1 year I'm working on this SaaS data flux. So just I wanted to know, like, I just want to learn something new in MDM only. So from where I should start on this, like some roadmap or anything?
Ritesh, do you want to take it up? Or you want me to answer?
Yeah, I'll take it up. So see, you know the basics at least, like what is an MDM, okay? So how do we
Yes.
actually, or whichever the trending tools in the market, right? So we talked about it. So how do we actually, so you are working in the project, right, from 1 year, okay? So
Yes.
now if you want to improve yourself or maybe become an MDM expert, right? So what you need to do, like, because you already know the terminologies, right? So it's not that you have to learn the basics now. Okay.
Mhm.
So becoming the MDM expert, you will have to build your technical knowledge and the business understanding as well. Okay. It's not just about you to learn a tool and you don't know about the business context. Okay. Because you might
Okay.
be working in a banking project and maybe after 2 years you are working in a finance
Insurance
or
domain
maybe
or some other, yeah.
yeah. So like why do companies need MDM? Okay. What are the different styles? Okay. So we have to not just focus on the technology, but also the platforms and different other tools. Okay. So like
Mm.
SAP offers your MDG, then Oracle has a CDM. Okay. So how we actually design the data model, how the matching rules work. Matching rules, as I was telling you, right? You have
Alright.
customer data in say 5 different systems, which is the right record. So you should have the matching rules. Okay, you should know the technology, or we should know the domain knowledge to come up with good rules to kind of end up with a proper golden set of record, right? So,
Okay.
so that is where you have to focus on the modeling. You can have to focus on domain knowledge. Okay, you have to focus on a lot of other deep mastery like hybrid matching or maybe survivorship rules. Okay, so if you are able to figure out the governance and the stewardship frameworks, right, you can do a good job.
Okay. Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sorry, one more question from me. Maybe on the scenario that Reliance example that Ritesh was providing. So he mentioned about different names from different context. So I'm assuming like the customer might have provided those different names. So in any circumstance, do we need to keep that version different kind of names for the customer? Like if it is a customer preference to keep them and use them in different context. It might be contradicting from a master data or single source of truth perspective, but is there any such requirement that
Yeah.
have you seen? Yeah.
See, basically, uh, since it's a large enterprise, right? So now suppose someone needs a report. How many customers we have today in Reliance, overall Reliance family? Okay. So what do you do now? Okay. One customer might be there in more than one system based on the mobile number, right? But his address or her address or maybe the name might differ. Okay. So Reliance today has around 18,000 plus stores. Okay. And they have multiple brands. They have a lot of, they have around 200 million customers. Okay. To, so to run at this scale, right? They have to use some enterprise grade MDM capability, right, across all the different segments which we talked about, right? So each Reliance store has to manage different product information, right? And then how MDM solves it based on like they use a centralized product MDM hub, right, to maintain all this cost, price, brand, names, and all. So my point when I'm trying to make here is you when you need a single view of a customer across multiple brands like Geo Telecom, GeoMart, okay, Reliance Trends, Reliance. Before MDM, what happens? The same customer has 4 or 7 different IDs. They have loyalty points misuse. Okay. They have duplicate or maybe incorrect KYCs there. Okay. How MDM can help? It creates a golden customer profile, right? Using same email ID or one single source column. Okay, which could be a mobile number, it could be an email ID also, right? So based on that, what impact we can bring, like one customer, one identity across all brands. Okay. And then you could give personalized offers to the customer across all the different channels which they're operating. Okay. And then you could have a unified loyalty points. Okay. So you buy something from GeoMart, but as a Reliance customer, your points get added in the bigger umbrella, and you could use those points in other kind of places as well, which are geo aggregated, right? So based on that, you could increase the marketing strategy. You could also improve the uh, recommendations for the customer, right? So this is how you can get into the real world of MDM. Hope that answers your question.
Yeah. Thanks, Ritesh. But in case if we need to provide different versions of that s- of that particular attribute from that example, like if the name, if the customer prefers to keep that, so is the latest tools provide that option, like at the same time keeping the single source of truth but keeping different versions in different context.
Yeah, that is always already there. Like because
Mm.
I might be the reason of wrong or maybe inconsistent data, right? I would have walked to a store and gave my name as Ritesh K in one place. One place I would have used Ritesh Kumar. So at the end of the day, we should have one proper name with the correct spelling based on say KYC being done for the customer, right? And then different historical records also. Like if I change a record from say A to B, right? We also maintain the history in MDM so that we can go back and figure out what was the what was the earlier record, right? All these things are there. So the tools also kind of provide those capabilities where we also maintain the historical information. Okay. And as you said, uh, there could be a scenario where for that specific requirement, this was the name I used. And then for other specific requirement, I use this name. But at the end of the day, you should have single source of truth, right? Or one golden record. So the tool offers both the capabilities, maintaining the golden record as well as maintaining the history.
Yeah, thanks, Ritesh. Thank you.
Hello, hello.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, I have one question. What the role of API plays in the building of this pattern? Which pattern we are using for this?
Nanda, you want to take this up?
Probably I'm not being able to follow the question when you say what API being used for the patent.
What the
Which one?
role of API play in the building this patent?
Which patent you are referring to? If you can repeat that.
Like we can say the real time and big data scale.
I'm not sure which one you are referring to, which slide. If you are saying that for MDM solution, what is the role of APIs? Obviously, if you look into that, MDM sits in between your enterprise enterprise application landscape, both for the enterprise applications as well as your external channels, omnichannels, and so forth. And I'm sorry, we have to go on mute because there's a lot of background noise. Yeah. And what MDM does, obviously, right? If you have to talk to MDM, that's where the MDM API get exposed. So of all the MDM, they use the open API. That's how that keyword is, right? So essentially, it's all earlier it used to be SOAP API. Now it is a REST APIs. All the MDM platforms, they expose the API so that enterprise applications can talk to MDM, both in terms of ingesting the data as well as referring the data back for their use. Enterprise applications can be CRM, it can be ERP, it can be your any other marketing channels, sales channels applications, or it can be external marketplace and so on and so forth. So that's where the API plays a critical role, obviously, for MDM, because MDM, as I said, sits on in the middle of the enterprise ecosystem, surrounded by all your other applications that enterprises uses to run their processes. If that's the question, that's how I would answer. I'm not being able to follow when you say the patent and which slide you are referring to. But if you have any other different questions, they can ask again.
It's okay.
Yeah, I think then we can thanks.
Okay. So thank you, Ritesh, Anindya. So as we come to the closer of the session, I would like to extend heartfelt thanks to both of you, Anindya and Ritesh, for taking out time and sharing your experience and enriching all the participants here. A special thanks also to all the participants for taking out time. I hope you have benefited out of this session and you have learned and you have some takeaways from this session. Also, special thanks to RN Prasad sir for orchestrating this webinar behind the scene. Thank you to my colleague Dinesh for enabling everyone to come together for this session. Thanks to all of you. Please, to all the participants who have joined the session, please do share your feedback with us. Your feedback is very important. It will help us improve, be better, and come up with more such sessions in future, which will really be helpful for all of you. So thank you, everyone. So we are winding up the session here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.